Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Samuel Schallenberger. I'm the Assistant Director of Orientation here in the college, and this is our summer webinar series. Today, we are talking all things autumn pre-registration. And as always, we do have the Q&A function live, so you can submit any questions that you may need answered towards the end of our presentation today at the button at the bottom of your screen. And as always, this webinar is being recorded and will be posted later on. So if you need to step aside or just want to rewatch some of today's program, you are more than welcome to do that on our summer webinar series website, which I will send the link to towards the end. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to our academic advising team to talk all things pre-registration.
Yes, thank you, Samuel, and hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. So as Samuel said, this is our autumn pre-registration webinar. It's the last of the webinars that the College Advising and Transfer Office is offering this summer. We're very grateful that today we are co-presenting this with the Office of the University Registrar, which is the office that handles student data, academic systems, and classrooms for the University of Chicago community. Just to quickly introduce who is on the presentation today, my name is Erin Madigan. I'm an academic advisor in the College Academic and Transfer Office. Sorry, we just updated our name. It's still getting used to. And I'm here with one of my colleagues, Shana Beamer, who is also an academic advisor, and Emily Ho from the University Registrar. She is the Associate University Registrar for Enrollment Services. I'm going to quickly cover our agenda for today's presentation. We will be offering an introduction to the pre-registration process, the steps that you can take to prepare for pre-registration, a review of where to find and interpret your placement test results, as well as a demonstration of the pre-registration system and how to navigate it before you have access to it next week for pre-registration itself. During the presentation, we'll be monitoring the chat as well as the Q&A function, and we'll be responding to your questions. Some of them we might answer just directly in the chat, others that we'll probably answer towards the end of the meeting out loud. Please keep your questions to the topic of the webinar today. If there are additional questions that you have that you would like to speak with advising about, please just plan to email your assigned academic advisor following our presentation. Before we get started, I'm also going to cover some of the learning outcomes that we have for our time together today. Pretty much exactly what we're hoping to cover in the agenda. By viewing the webinar today, you should be able to define what pre-registration is, outline how you can prepare for pre-registration, locate and interpret your placement results in My.UChicago, as well as feel confident navigating the pre-registration process through My.UChicago next week. So, what is pre-registration? Next slide, please. Cool, and actually just the next one too, because this is just a great, awesome. So the registration process at UChicago involves two main steps: pre-registration and add drop. Pre-registration is the first step where students are indicating their preferences for courses for each quarter of enrollment. It's not necessarily designed for students to get everything that they bid on. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we're showing you exactly how it works. But this process does allow the college to place a high number of students in courses before the second step of registration, which is add drop. For our incoming students, who should be everyone on this call today, although if you're a returning student, welcome. Pre-registration for autumn courses takes place in the My.UChicago portal, which is the same system where you did humanities pre-registration earlier on in the summer. That portal will open starting at 9 a.m. on Monday, August 19th, so this coming Monday, and it will remain open until Friday, August 23rd at 5 p.m. Please note all of these times when we're referring to pre-reg are in Central Time, so the Chicago time zone. If you are somewhere else in the world, please just make note of that and make sure you know what that translates to in your own time zone. During the window of those 5 days, you'll be bidding on your top course options for autumn and be ranking them by preference. Again, we'll get into that a little bit more later. Please note, it's not first come, first serve. This is a question we get all the time. It's just an open time period. There's no advantage to getting it done right at 9 a.m. Any student who's on my caseload has probably already heard me say this summer that I generally do not recommend doing it right at 9 a.m. in case there's a tech issue or something. But then also on the flip side, maybe not waiting until 4:30 p.m. on the 23rd. Anytime in the middle there is perfectly fine. If you change your mind about what you want to bid on over the course of those 5 days, you can go back, you can update your pre-reg rankings as many times as you want. Just make sure that by the time it closes, you have saved and submitted your final bids. Continuing a little bit more about the process. Once the pre-registration window closes, a process that we call resolution kicks in. This is where a computer algorithm that the registrar's office uses runs through and places students into courses based on their bids. The algorithm looks at several factors when placing students into courses, including where you list it in your list, your preference list, the year that you are. Some classes prioritize first year, some classes prioritize fourth years. It depends on the types of class, as well as space availability in each course. That algorithm will be prioritizing first year students, so all of you, as well as second year students for our core courses. So you will have a higher priority of getting enrolled into classes for the core than your fourth or third year peers. Alternatively, older students have preference for major courses like computer science or econ classes, or I don't know, a law, letters, society class. So it would be more difficult for a first year student to get into those classes in your first quarter potentially. But there's plenty of time for you to take major courses later on in your first year and beyond. So don't worry about it too much if you don't get into one of the classes right away. Once the resolution process has concluded, your final schedule will be visible in the My.UChicago student portal. This should be around September 9th. The second part of registration process is called add drop. We alluded to that earlier in the meeting. This is when you'll have an opportunity to make changes to your schedule in real time. For example, if you go to the first day of your math class and you decide you don't love that it's at 9 a.m., you may be able to switch it during that time period if there's a seat in an alternative section. You'll learn more about how this process works and be able to participate in add drop during the orientation week. So questions about that you can sit on for now. Much more information will be coming later. I'm now going to turn the webinar reins over to Shayna, who will talk to you a little bit about how you can best prepare for pre-registration.
Thanks, Erin. So first off, in order to participate in pre-registration, you are required to meet with your academic advisor. Ideally, you will have met with them already at least once this summer. So for everyone that did meet with their advisor, you discuss possible course options for the autumn, and you should have a plan for what you will bid on or rank as your top choices. If you have not met with your advisor yet, you should reach out to them as soon as possible to find a time to meet next week if possible. As the deadline to meet is technically tomorrow, they may not be able to accommodate a meeting next week to get into classes, but that will be after the pre-registration, and that will be sometime in September before or during Old Week. If you're unable to participate in pre-registration and have met with your advisor this summer, then they are aware of what courses you are interested in and planning to take. So they will try to build you a basic schedule in advance of orientation week, which then you can make changes if needed. For those of you who will be participating in pre-registration, the first step to prepare is to note your humanities course information. And you can see this information in your My.UChicago portal. And you will use your placement test results to pick the appropriate math, science, and language courses if applicable. So in my classes, you will see the course listed with the dates and times. You will then explore the course offerings by looking at the class search portal in My.UChicago, also known as My Classes. My Classes provides the detailed information about the courses being offered each quarter, so you can find the class times, locations, and the number of open seats for each course. You can also find a link to course evaluations, which has feedback from students that took the course in the past. These are two short videos that you can access to learn more about how to navigate the My Classes portal and how to start building some possible schedules for autumn. And these are both on our YouTube page and in Canvas. So the module that we have released in Canvas is called Preparing for Pre-Registration, and that is where those two videos are located. And it will also have a copy of this webinar as well, so you have access to all the info you need in one place for next week. In addition to the Canvas, you can also review the new student advising web pages, such as the first quarter schedules and the frequently asked questions. The college catalog also has information on major requirements and prerequisites, so you can review this as well to brush up on what your major interests require. This is especially important because you will not be able to get into a course if you do not have the specific prerequisite. So take computer science 141 as an example, which we have here, a little screenshot from the catalog. So we can see the prerequisite here is placement in Math 151 or completion of Math 131. So if I placed into Math 131 or Math 105, I will need to wait to be able to take this course until after I've completed 131. So just pay attention to that. And now let's briefly discuss your placement results. So you may have seen them in your My.UChicago or you may not have noticed, but to get there, this is the homepage of your My.UChicago, but it's not on the homepage. So you need to go to My Academics, which is on the right-hand side. And then once you're in My Academics, you will see a little tab in the middle labeled Test Results, and that is where your test results live. So we can see in this example, this is also where your AP scores are listed. If we have received them, they'll be here. So if you don't see them and you thought you sent them, sounds like we might not have gotten them. But this student placed into Math 131 or Math 112, 113, also French 103, Spanish 201. So if I was a student, those would be the courses that I would be looking for. So these placements are based on your performance on the tests, and also AP and IB scores are taken into consideration if applicable. You will see these placement results, or you will use these placements to pre-register for the appropriate courses. So as I mentioned, if you receive placement for Math 131, you should not pre-register for Math 151 since the system will not allow you to get into the course without the proper placement. If you did not take your placement exams, or if there were any issues, or maybe you only did half of it, you should take them immediately or complete them. And then you should notify your advisor once you have completed them, so that they can be aware that, that you took them a little bit late. And your scores will need to be manually added to your account. So just let your advisor know, and we'll get it all figured out. So now I will turn it over to Emily so we can see a live demo of the system that y'all will be using next week.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Emily Ho. I am the Associate Registrar for Enrollment Services. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of take you through what it will look like to pre-register and kind of make sure you're familiar with everything on the screens and how it will work. I think most of you should be relatively familiar with this, as it's going to be very similar to what you did with the Humanities registration. So just confirming everyone can see the screen okay? Thank you. Okay. So when it's time for pre-registration to open, which will be on Monday, you'll log into your My.UChicago. When you're in your student portal here, you're going to want to click Autumn Quarter Pre-Registration. Clicking Autumn Quarter Pre-Registration will pop up another tab and take you into the first year survey screen. Many of you already answered these questions when you did Humanities. So those answers, if you answered them, will pre-populate. But this is your chance to make any updates if you've changed your mind about anything in the meantime. So you can update this. Again, this isn't binding, it's just additional information that will help your advisor in the autumn quarter kind of get to know you and help advise on what courses to take. So update as appropriate and hit next. This will take you into the first year pre-registration screen. So there's kind of two steps to this. So what you can see here is that we have listed all of the different buckets of first year pre-reg course categories that you have the option of taking. So the first thing that we are asking you to do is rank these different buckets in accordance to your priority. So let's say that your number one priority is physical sciences, something like chemistry or physics. You can rank that 1. Let's say social sciences is 2, math 3, bio 4, language 5, civ 6, and then other eligible classes. Let's say you're not sure, but you want to take it. You can either skip the group or rank it 7. So once you've ranked these, you'll need to go up and hit save and sort. Once you hit save and sort, then you'll see the different options that you have underneath. So starting again with physical science, you'll be able to submit 4 different requests for courses that you might want to take in the physical sciences. We would recommend submitting backups here in case the first course that you rank is full. So what you're going to want to do, go ahead and hit search. And this is going to bring up all of the courses that are physical science courses that are eligible for first-year students. So we see, you know, the physical science, we have astronomy, we also scroll down and we get the chemistry and the physics courses down here. You'll see a few things here that I want to point out. This is going to list the course. It will list the instructor if available. There are a few cases where the departments might still be finalizing teaching instructions, so it might say staff, and that just means the instructor is still coming. And then it will also show the meeting times here. It does show section enrollment too. I know we had some questions in the chat about that. I do want to just make sure or kind of reiterate that a lot of these courses that are in the first year pre-registration module are specifically holding back seats for first year students. So some of these that appear full or say closed aren't really. There's going to be more seats added specifically for first year pre-registration. So these are going to be added Friday afternoon, just to make sure that they are saved for you guys. So when you log in on Monday, those numbers will be a little different and those will be accurate, reflecting how many seats are available in those courses. If you're on the screen and you're not quite sure what your test results are, you can just click view test results here, and that will take you into the screen that has your test results without you having to click out all the way to go back to My Academics. So let's say first choice is astronomy, hit add. We can see here that's ranked as number 1. Let's say you want to put a backup there will be Chem 111. Again, hit add, and you'll see that ranked number 2. So what you'll need to do is go through and either skip or rank in all of the different categories. Again, clicking search is going to bring up those specific courses that are available for first year pre-reg. But again, you can see if we're looking at this SOCH, for example, they are going to add about 10 seats to all of these SOCH sections. So we will have room for first years in those courses. At the very bottom, we have other eligible classes. So these will be any other course that's not part of the core specifically that is eligible for first year pre-registration. So again, if you hit search on that, it will bring up these other courses, such as, you know, we're getting some arts core. There are going to be a few other general electives, but those will be under the other category. So as you're ranking and requesting these, you can always go in these drop-down menus if you want to resort the different courses or decide you want to change one to, you know, first ranking one to second, you can do that. You can always hit save and sort, and that will save it and again resort it however you most recently ranked them. If you click summarized ranks here, it will take you to this other screen that's going to just have a quick summary. So it's all on one page of what you ranked, how you're ranking the different buckets, and how you're ranking the different sections within that. When you have the courses ranked and you're ready to submit, go ahead and hit submit here. You'll get this banner that confirms all selections are submitted, and you should get an email as well that's going to spit out something similar to what you see here with the summarized ranks. Once you submit, you can always go back and resubmit. We will just take into account your most recent submission. So if you are super eager, you log in right away Monday morning, submit it all, and then by Friday kind of have a change of heart and want to redo all your rankings, you can go in, redo it, resubmit. That's totally fine. It's not going to impact your ability to get into those courses. Again, we will only take into account the most recent submission of those courses. So that's kind of basically it. Again, a lot of these seats are going to be updated. So there's going to be more room in these classes by the time you need to pre-register on Monday. But I think the most important thing to kind of keep in mind is when you do log on, you do have to rank these buckets first, hit save and sort, and then you'll be able to rank the courses within those buckets. All right. That pretty much covers what I was going to go over, so I will hand it back to advising.
Thanks, Emily. Let me share my screen again here. Well, that was most of our presentation. So just some quick reminders, and then we'll get into the questions. We got a lot of good ones to address. So next week, the window will open at 9 a.m. as we've talked about. Your schedule will be finalized by the 9th, so you might see changes up until that point. Ad drop will open on the first day of classes, which will be Monday, September 30th, and we will review this process during the orientation week. So you'll know what to do with that process. And then finally, you'll have until October 18th to drop any courses. So if you're thinking about 3 versus 4 in the autumn, if you're leaning towards 4, we have until October 18th to drop down to 3, if that's something that you want to do. And that leads us to the end. So we covered a lot of information, and we'll go into the questions. If there's any more particular questions to your scenario, we would advise you to speak with your academic advisor about that. And then we do have our Instagram where we share a lot of good updates and information. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, here is our QR code. And I'll leave that up for a second. But yeah, we have quite a few good questions here. I'm sure these are on everybody's mind. So let me just stop sharing here.
Yeah, Shayna, one that I've seen in a few different iterations in the Q&A would be what a student should do if they're planning to take either the higher level math exam, higher level chemistry exam, calculus accreditation, generally thinking that their placement may change after pre-reg. What should they do?
Yeah, it's a little gonna depend, but if you took the higher level exams, we're not gonna have those results before pre-registration. So my advice would be pre-register for the courses that you received placement for. Just imagine if you don't receive a higher level placement for whatever reason. So I would advise my students to pre-register for those classes. So whatever math that you would be interested in based on your placement right now. Same with chemistry, same with language. And then once ad drop opens, once your schedules are finalized, we can make changes after that once we have more information about the placements. Erin, question for you. What about this principles of micro econ in autumn, macro in the winter? Do you see that? Yeah, that one.
Yes. So I wanted to respond to this with 2 things. One that maybe gets at some of the other questions as well. Generally, you might be seeing, if you're looking in the class search tool, some classes say that they're already full because the students in their 2nd through 4th year did pre-registration previously. So some classes currently don't have available seats. And so you might be asking, is this a class that I can take in the future? You can use the course catalog. So currently the full schedule of classes for the winter or the spring quarter or any quarter other than the autumn hasn't been published. So this means that we can't exactly say that a class will be offered at 9 a.m. during winter quarter. We just don't know. We just don't know yet. It's too far in advance. However, the college catalog, which is published every year, it's updated every year, has the most up-to-date information that we have right now. So if there's a class that you're interested in, you can go to the catalog. So for econ, you can go to the economics department page in the college catalog, go to the bottom, you'll see all of the classes are listed there, and it should say if for the moment the department knows when they're planning to offer it over the course of a year. I know, for example, in this case, Econ 100 and 102 are offered every single quarter. So that class specifically, yes, will be offered in the winter quarter and also in the spring. So if it's currently full, you can plan to take it in the future potentially. However, as we also mentioned earlier, the ad drop period is another time when class registrations change. it might very well be the case that an upperclassman got into a class that you want to take and it was their backup and they don't plan to take it. So when adjuncts opens, they might drop it. And if they drop it and a seat is open, you might be able to put yourself into it. So one, yes, many of these classes will be offered later in the year and you can use the catalog to see at the moment if we know if they will be. And then the other thing is keep in mind that things are still changing and there might be still time to get into some of these classes.
Awesome. And some questions about the closed sections again, just what does that mean? So if you somebody said bio 10130 principles of bio looks like it's full. So there was only one section offered in the autumn and that is full right now. So unless the seats are raised, that class isn't going to be an option, but we can see that bio 10140 inquiry-based bio does have open seats. So if you're open to the other bio, we would recommend that you pre-register for that. If principles of bio is the only one that will do for you, then we would just have you wait to try to get in later this year or even second year. What else do we see?
Shayna, for humanities, when will they find out times of their writing seminars?
Yeah, a couple questions about that. So writing seminars is something that y'all don't have to worry about for the pre-registration. So that's something that's going to get added to your schedule later on, but it's not going to be a piece of the puzzle pieces that you have to figure out for the scheduling. So you can kind of disregard that for now. It will be something that you're going to take, but it doesn't have to be a factor in this process. Question about if math is only offered once a quarter. Are there any other courses that are only offered in autumn, or some of this like once a year questions?
So there definitely are. Once again, I would recommend looking on the course catalog to see, there are definitely some classes that are only offered in autumn or only offered in winter. A good example of a class that is only going to be offered in the autumn quarter would be the first course in the chemistry or in the physics sequence, because those are taught in sequence. The first one is offered in the fall every year. You might also note that there is a specific English or history class that's only offered in autumn or in the winter quarter each year. So yes, there are. I would recommend looking on the course catalog to see what information you can find there.
Emily,
there are a lot of questions.
Yeah, lots of questions. Emily, there's a question that you marked here. Can you rank classes subject types separate from class sections? There's an example.
Yeah, so you can't rank by entire subject, like you can't say, I want any bios class, but you can rank that bucket. So if bios, for example, is your number one choice, put that bucket as your top choice, then within that, you can rank the different sections. If, for example, you definitely want to take bio 10140, and there's one professor that you want in particular, but you'd be okay with any of them, then when you're ranking the different sections, put in multiple requests. The section that you want most, put as number one, but then you can also bid on the other sections as well. And that way, when the pre-registration process, the resolution process is running, if your first choice is full, it will then look at your second choice. But you would need to submit a request for a backup for the system to place you in it.
And one other kind of algorithm question. So for our molecular engineering students who are trying to get into physics and chemistry in the first quarter, how's that going to work?
Yeah, I would, again, you're able to rank up to 4 physical sciences, rank both physics and chemistry in there. Yeah, the sequence you want most, put number one. And again, you should have room to put at least 2 different sections in each one. But in that case, just rank both of them there, and yeah, it'll put you in whatever's open.
Perfect. How many classes should we add for our first quarter? So for the pre-registration, should we only be adding if we want 4, or should we be adding a lot more than 4? Aaron?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think this is the same. I was just reading another question that
Okay.
says if the upcoming pre-registration, is the upcoming pre-registration only for the first quarter? If so, why would we rank more courses outside of the 3 or 4 we plan to take plus backups? So, I mean, for this question and Shayna's as well, I think keep in mind that while you are doing pre-registration, so are about 1,000 of your peers. And all of these classes have a set number of seats available. Taking into consideration when your humanities is, the timings of these different classes, you know, there are a lot of combination of classes that need to be come up with so that everyone has a schedule. And so in general, ranking backups, whether that's backup sections of the same class that you want to take or alternate classes that you would be okay taking in general, it's just smart because it gives the computer more options of classes to put you in general. Keeping in mind, you know, it tries to put you into the classes that you rank highest first. But if those classes are full, the option then comes, do you have a backup that you could be put into or not? And if you don't have a backup, you could just be left without a 4th class, which wouldn't be ideal. So in no way is ranking more classes or alternatives going to cause you an issue. The alternative would actually be true. Would you say, Shayna?
Yeah, I encourage my students to add as many as they're open to. Just doesn't hurt to have backups.
True. If there's a class you don't want to take, don't put it because you could get into it. But if there are options that you would be open to, you know, there's no harm in registering or in requesting it. If you get it and a class that you want to take more opens up, you can swap it during ad drop.
All right, we're just making our way through all these questions. So question about section enrollment versus total enrollment. So in class search or my classes, the older students have already pre-registered. So that's why you're seeing some classes are closed. Section enrollment versus total enrollment, it's a little confusing, a little complex for you all right now, but I think the main thing to consider is this open versus closed. So if you see the word open, that means that the class is open. If you see it's closed, it's not going to be open for pre-registration. So that's probably the better answer. Section enrollment, Emily, any simple ways to describe that?
Yeah, I think in general, defer to total enrollment. Total enrollment is the number of seats available in the course. Section enrollment gets a little in the weeds with how many are set aside for particular cross listings, which isn't really a concern as far as at this point.
Right.
So definitely defer to total enrollment. And yeah, I think like Shayna said, if it's open, then there's a chance you're going to get in. If you're pre-registering on Monday and that course is still closed, then there probably won't be more room.
Right. And Erin, how do we know how much time we need to leave between classes? Is 10 minutes enough to get from one class to another?
I think 10 minutes is generally enough. You can always look at a campus map. I know that maybe sounds a little boring, but honestly, that's what I would recommend. Check out a map, see how far apart the buildings are, if that information is there. But generally 10 minutes is enough class. Now, you can also think about for yourself, do you want to have 4 classes back to back to back to back with 10-minute breaks? Some people might like that. It's kind of like high school. But alternatively, you might want to leave an hour for lunch or something. But yeah, 10 minutes generally should be fine.
Yeah, especially if it's on the main quad, like some
Yeah.
of the classes can be really spread apart. So 10 minutes might not be for some of those, but yeah, definitely look at a map. What else do we got? Let's see.
I saw one I wanted to talk about, but I have to find it again. It had to do with how the system works and like whether or not it was first come, first serve. I think the question was something on the lines of the system, how is the system not first come, first serve if classes are popular? Emily, do you maybe want to talk about how like the order in which student bids are looked at?
Yep. So yeah, for pre-registration, it is not first come, first serve. we don't look at any of the bids until after pre-registration is closed. And so essentially what happens is after pre-registration is closed, then the system will take all the bids and every bid gets randomly, well, not, okay. Every bid basically gets assigned a priority number, and that number is based on class year priority. So does the course prioritize first and second years if it's a core course, or does it prioritize upperclassmen if it's a general elective? So it looks at the class year priority first, and then it randomly assigns based on how the student ranked the request and the class year priority. So somebody who submits their bids at 4:59 p.m. on Friday, depending on how the randomization works before we start running the enrollments, could, you know, be one of the first students looked at once the resolution process is running. So essentially, I mean, the kind of less complicated answer is it's essentially randomized after it closes. But the randomization does take into account how highly you ranked the course and whether that course is prioritized for first and second year students or for upperclassmen.
Right. Yeah, I like to tell my students, like, we know econ's one of the most popular majors. So if you are trying to get into an economics course, which is an option for the autumn, currently there's quite a few spots in principles of micro, which is econ 100. It's at 8 a.m. So good luck with that one. There's 2 other econ courses that are available. So if you are first year and you're putting that in the #1 spot, you're going to have just as good a shot as all the other first years. But if there's 100 spots and 600 of you put it in the #1, it's going to be randomized on which 100 get in. Is that right, Emily?
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. How many classes for each subject should we rank? So if we want to take Chem and placed into Chem 101, do we have to rank other classes in that section as well? Easy answer.
I'm sorry, I keep getting lost. Can you say it again?
Yeah, it's if we want to take Chem and place into Chem 101, do we have to rank other classes in that section, or there's only 2 sections of Chem 101, I think, so.
Yeah, so for that specifically, because chemistry registrations are based on placement, you can rank both of the sections of Chem 101, but you shouldn't be ranking the different chemistry sequence. So since you only have a placement into 101, you don't want to rank honors chemistry, for example. But again, this goes back to the idea of alternatives would be a good idea. So you can rank both of them.
Question about how we can use My Planner to envision our future schedules. So part of one of those videos, the scheduling your courses of interest video that lives in Canvas, that walks you through kind of how to potentially use My Planner to kind of work those puzzle pieces. Sometimes people just like to handwrite, you know, draw little boxes or make a little schedule on paper. So that could work too, but I will recommend that you review the Canvas module to get more info and then follow up with your advisor if you have any other questions about using that.
I think I saw a second question about My Planner and whether it was updated as the catalog is. What would you say, Shana?
Yeah, no, good question, especially physics. That's a big question I've had for some of my students. So physics, the Bachelor of Science is a new program that they just offered. So My Planner will be updated. Currently, some of the newer programs might not be in there, and I really think it is just the BS for physics, which is the same requirements as the old BA, basically. So
Yeah.
My Planner will go ahead, Erin.
We typically say, you know, it's useful to use both My Planner, and I know some of you might not know what My Planner is yet. That's okay. As Shana said, there are resources to learn more about it in the Canvas website. I know, for example, I haven't really mentioned it to many of my students yet, but it is a helpful tool. We recommend using it in tandem with the course catalog, just because sometimes one might be updated at a different speed than the other. If you notice anything that's a discrepancy, or in general, as always, if you have questions about things, please reach out to your college advisor, because they'll be able to help you interpret it. You know, we might know just a little bit more than what's posted. So but in general, you can use them both in tandem.
All right, I'm gonna look for some that have a lot of upvotes.
Yeah, if there are questions that you guys all see that you agree with, upvote it, because I think that might help us. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's not a way to just like delete one, right?
It would just be answer live or type answer.
I think for the students, if you write a question and it gets answered, you can dismiss your own question, which just might help us. If not, that's okay. We can say things multiple times.
Here's a good one. What if we don't have our placement test results yet?
Yeah, great question. So if you took your placement test by the initial deadline that was back in June, you should have all of your placement test results. So if that's the case, please contact your academic advisor and they will follow up for you. If you've taken them a little bit later, there are a couple of other batches, like timings when those things are being looked into. At this point, if you don't have your placement test result, Shayna, do you remember?
They're not gonna be ready by pre-reg.
Yeah.
If you don't have them right now, that's okay. So at least for math, you won't be able to pre-register and get into those. So that's one that you could just hold off on from, or you could throw it at the bottom, but you're not gonna get in. So I would recommend that you don't. Same with the physical sciences. So if you're trying to get into chemistry or physics, we'll hold off on those as well. So it will be something that we'll have you speak with your advisor about, most likely, you know, when we can get the placement results. So basically pre-register for anything but math or physical science, and you should be able to get into those classes.
But if you have a question, I would say follow up with your advisor because it might be coming. So I don't exactly know what this question is asking. It says, I didn't follow the sequence of HUMA, then pre-registration. I just to clarify, if you're asking if you missed HUM pre-registration perhaps back in July, everyone has been registered for a humanities class, whether you did the process or not. So you should have one on your schedule already. As we said, that happened earlier on in the summer, and then the rest pre-registration next week does not include humanities. You're already enrolled in it. There may be an opportunity to request a change in your humanities registration later. That will not be taking place during pre-reg. So keep holding out for now. Follow up with your advisor if you have questions, but that will likely be closer to the beginning of the quarter. So more information to come.
Here's kind of just a philosophical one. Do most people majoring in STEM tend to take 3 or 4 classes, and what do you recommend?
It really depends. I think, you know, molecular engineering students, you might be in 4, physics students, you could be in 4. I guess technically not a physical science, but oftentimes pre-med students are in 3 in the fall, because the biology class for pre-med students starts in the winter. Or just in general, if you would prefer to be in 3 classes in your first quarter, that's typically fine. Being in 4 classes in your first quarter potentially gives you the opportunity to get in a little bit more of the core in your first year, while you're also taking introductory courses for your major. So for example, if you're a chemistry student and you're taking Gen Chem and math in your humanities class, that 4th class could be, you know, if you place into Spanish 103, you could take that in the fall, and then you would be done with your language competency requirement. She knows, right, it is a bit of a philosophical question. For the most part, there is hardly a situation in which I would imagine a student who is in 3 classes who is then irrevocably behind on their plan. That just isn't something that happens. So take heart in that.
Emily, these couple ones that you flagged, I'm sorry, I scrolled past it. 3 versus 4, yeah, during the process, do we need to specify if we plan to take 3 or 4, and how will that factor into resolution?
Yeah, so on that, when you first click into pre-reg, there was that first year survey screen that came up. That is going to ask whether you intend to register for 300 or 400 units. So specify there, and if you put 300, the system will stop at 300. If you put 400, it will try its best to register you in 400, depending on availability. I would say if you're unsure, put 400, and you can always drop one later. But yeah, you can specify in that first screen. And again, that will be kind of the maximum, but again, depending on your course request, there's always a chance that it won't necessarily be able to place you through pre-registration in 400 units. But you would always be able to add, even if you put 300 units there, you'd always be able to add an additional course during add drop.
Awesome. And then for labs, we didn't really talk about that. What about classes like that have a lab?
Yeah, so for labs, you don't deal with labs during pre-registration. The registration system will resolve you into a lab that fits your schedule. So there's nothing for you to do with it right now. You won't see them on the pre-reg screen itself.
Right.
Quick question that I was about to type, but I'll just say it now. Question about, in some of your placements, you might have seen invited, for example, math uses the term invited to calculus 161 or invited. It used to have like invited to math 183. That's the same as a placement because it's an alternative. They decided to use that. It's the same as in physics. You'll see recommended to take 141. That's still what we would consider a placement.
And there was a question about if I didn't take a placement exam, but somehow I got a placement. So physics placement was just automatically assigned to you based on your math placement. So if you see a physics placement on your account, you don't have to take physics. That's just if you were interested. So definitely not required if you're not interested in taking that. I did want to address the location one. There was a couple upvotes on. So would the building numbers be listed on the courses when we rank the course for pre-registration? So the building, I don't believe is in the first year pre-reg view, right, Emily?
Yeah, the building isn't in the first year pre-reg, but if you go to course search, so the public facing course search, that will have the building and classroom location listed if we have it available.
Right. So I'll share my screen. This looks a little different. This is the advisor view, but when you look for a class and you pop it open, you can see right here, TBA. So this one we don't know, but if there is a location, we're still a little ways away from class. So, maybe we could look at the class. So this one will be in Kent Chem Lab 107. So it's just, you have to pop it open to read that information. All right, we got 10 more minutes. So what do we get?
Trina, do you want to talk about, there are a lot of questions about how to prioritize classes or sections of classes or categories of classes. And I think I'll just quickly say it's really easy to get hyper fixated on this. I think more than anything, try not to. But Shayna, do you have anything to add?
Right, easier said than done. It is, in this pre-registration, it's just for the first quarter, for social science sequence, that is something that is all year. Potentially the physical sciences might run all year, but you're really just signing up for the first quarter classes. So like Erin said, you can't really go wrong, for math, depending on if you're really interested in a specific professor or the time is just really important to you, maybe math would be in the top spot. But generally I think students will put probably their other core above math. Maybe the other category, which has the electives, might go higher on there as well. Just to increase your chances to get in, but you do have a higher priority for the core. So it's a little complicated, but you will have I don't even want to get into that. Disregard. What other questions, Erin? Yeah, let's see, we'll clear out the queue a little bit. When is add drop period? So that's going to be when you get to campus. And you will have the ability starting on September 30th to change your schedule.
Okay, here's one. Will I not be enrolled in a class if the discussion options of the class conflict with my humanities course? So, I guess one thing to know, if by discussion you're referring to, so some classes you might see, like with chemistry, how it has a lab, some of our humanities or social science classes might have a discussion. So when you're looking at the class, it might say, this class meets Tuesday, Thursday, 9 to 10 20, and then you'll also see there's an associated discussion section. If there are more than one discussion section, you might see that. What am I trying to say? Essentially, a discussion is another part of the class registration that you don't necessarily have control over which exact section you're in. So one, yes, if there is a time conflict, you won't get the class because humanities is already on your schedule. Anything that's you're already registered for will take precedence over a class you're trying to get into, and you won't be registered for 2 classes that have a time conflict. However, because this was a question about discussion section, if there is an alternative discussion section that doesn't conflict, the system will try and put you into that one, and you might get it or you might not. This is kind of all part of the registration process and why it's a bit complicated.
And, oh, Emily, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I know there were a few different questions in there kind of about conflicting classes. So like Erin said, the system will never put you in, actually register you in 2 classes that have a time conflict. It just won't be possible. But inevitably, you probably are going to be submitting requests for classes that have time conflicts because you're going to be submitting backup requests. So, you know, your number 1 class might be 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. You might put like a number 5 or 6 backup request that meets at the same time in case you don't get into that one. So it's totally okay to submit requests for courses that overlap or have a time conflict. But just keep in mind that you won't actually be enrolled in courses if they have a conflicting meeting pattern. But it's good to have some backups just in case.
I love this question. If we're considering double majoring or possibly picking up a minor, should we start thinking about our course spread this quarter? Should we be making a big plan, or is it okay if we put it on the back burner and just get adjusted to life on campus? You answered your own question. It's definitely okay to put it on the back burner. Like Erin said, we're just getting adjusted to campus. We're getting into humanities. Most likely we'll get you into a math. And then we can, you know, think about those major courses or minor courses, you know, potentially in winter. There are some fun elective classes, like there is econ, there's computer science, there's some history. So those could be options for you, kind of major based. But definitely don't have to jump in if you're just wanting to adjust.
Oh, I put this one on here. Are all of the times listed under the class the meeting times, or is it just one of the combinations the meeting times? For example, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Would it meet 5 days a week or just one of those combinations? So this might, does anyone want to, do we want to pull up class search again, or have we discussed this enough about where?
Sorry, what was it?
Yeah, so
I think it's how to figure out like which times you actually have class.
Yeah, that could be a good demo. Just it is in the video a little bit on the canvas of just like whatever you're registered for will be in the planned classes.
It's just, this question could be referring to like if there are multiple labs, like do you have class every time all of the labs are offered? Some classes also have their midterms as listed classes, or if it's just that there are multiple sections that meet at different times.
yeah, I would go into the course search that Shayna was showing earlier, and that will specify in the first year pre-reg, that's kind of listing everything. But for a lot of these, like for Gen Chem, some of those class times are going to be the lectures and some will be labs. Again, some of these too will be, those class meeting times are specific for one single date, which would be the midterm date. And that is all spelled out in the course search page that has a little more info than what's displayed in the first year pre-reg descriptions.
Yeah.
Right. And this is in the example video, but Math 131, you might be talking about the tutorial pieces. So that's down here. Potentially you can see that kind of little extra requirement. So that's not something that you'll be bidding on, but that's inherently attached to this course. So that is something that you should consider. And then these are those midterms that Emily mentioned. And all of this is in the How to Navigate My Classes video. That is part of the pre-reg module in Canvas.
Yeah, and so if you looked where it said time frame for the midterms, you'd see that it's scheduled only during one date. It does make it a little confusing in the first year format this particular time, but it's basically like that to ensure that you won't be not able to go to your midterm because another course is meeting at the same time.
Right. And I think this might be our final question. It had a lot of upvotes. So should we put other classes like Soc above math, even if math is more important for our major? This is kind of another philosophical one. It's personal priorities. So like I mentioned, you know, if math, a particular professor especially, or a particular time, if that is a priority for you, then maybe math should be the top category. There's a lot of sections of math, so like 152, there's a lot of sections. So if you're okay with, you know, a bunch of different options, math could go to the bottom, even if it is, you know, really important for your major. But it is kind of a personal priority, personal preference on, you know, how important is this particular math or this particular time, versus the social science. So sorry, that might not directly answer, but I think generally math could be towards the bottom unless it's a big priority for you. Any other ones you want to follow up on, Erin, or did we get to most of them?
We got to a lot. There are still
Any other ones?
questions, but
Ask your advisor. I think a lot of us will be hosting walk-in hours next week, so drop in to your academic advisors walk-in hours.
oh, I thought of one. Sorry. There's a question that just says, can we pick the times or professors we want, or do we just get what's available? So I guess to clarify, you can't say, I want Professor Jones to teach at 9 a.m. You unfortunately don't have the power to do that, but you do get to specify, I would prefer to take this class's section taught by Professor Jones at 9 a.m. rather than Professor Smith at 10 a.m. Like you get to indicate the preference of any section already tied to a professor, but unfortunately the university is not asking for your opinions on who should teach. That'd be nice.
And that will do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you to everyone for joining us here today. Thank you to each of our panelists. I'm going to throw the link in the chat to where you will be able to find a recording of today's program, as well as past programs that we have had over the course of our summer. And you can also register for any that are coming up. So we appreciate you all being here and hope you have a great rest of your week.